The galaxy's most dangerous ship obeyed no one. Until him. Part 1. The Awakening. The Crimson Nebula had swallowed ships whole for 3 centuries, its roiling clouds of ionized gas creating electromagnetic storms that could fry navigation systems in seconds. Captain Zara Voss had made her fortune salvaging the wrecks that littered its outer edges, but she'd never been foolish enough to venture into its heart. Until today. Sensors are going haywire again, Marcus Kane muttered from the engineering station, his young face creased with concentration as he adjusted the quantum resonance scanners. At 24, he was the youngest crew member aboard the salvage, vessel Wanderer, but his expertise with exotic technology made him invaluable. Whatever's out there, it's big enough to generate its own gravitational field. Zara studied the readouts from her captain's chair, her weathered hands gripping the armrests. 43 years of deep space salvage had taught her to trust her instincts, and right now they were screaming danger. But the readings were unlike anything she'd ever seen. A massive metallic signature buried deep within the nebula's core, completely intact despite the hostile environment. "Chief Jorik, what's our hull integrity?" she called to the gruff mechanic hunched over the damage control station. "Holding steady at 92%, Jorik replied, his cybernetic eye whirring as it interfaced with the ship's systems. The old spacer had lost the original in a reactor explosion 15 years ago, and the replacement gave him an unsettling stare that unnerved most people. "But I wouldn't want to push our luck much further into this soup." Zara nodded, understanding. The warning. The Wanderer was tough, built for the harsh realities of salvage work, but the nebula's electromagnetic interference was testing even her reinforced systems. Still, the potential payoff was enormous. Ships didn't survive intact in the Crimson Nebula unless they were built with technology far beyond current galactic standards. "Take us in slowly," she ordered. "Marcus, keep those sensors trained on that signature. I want to know everything about it before we get close enough to shake hands." As they penetrated deeper into the nebula's swirling chaos, the massive object began to resolve on their screens. What they saw made them all fall silent. The ship, for it was undoubtedly a ship, was unlike anything in the known galactic database. Sleek and predatory, it stretched nearly 2 kilometers from bow to stern, its hull composed of some dark material that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. Strange geometric patterns covered its surface, glowing faintly with an inner phosphorescence that pulsed like a heartbeat. "By the void," Jorik whispered, his scarred face pale. "What is that thing?" Marcus's fingers flew over his console, running every scan he could think of. "The hull material isn't registering on any of our analysis programs. It's like it's made of something that doesn't exist in our periodic table. And these energy readings..." He paused, double-checking his instruments. "Captain, this ship is generating power, a lot of power. Its reactors are still online after who knows how many years." Zara felt a chill run down her spine. In 3 decades of salvage work, she'd learned that ships with active power systems were dangerous. They usually meant automated defenses, territorial AIs, or worse. But the potential technology aboard a vessel this advanced could set them up for life. "Any signs of life?" she asked. "Nothing on conventional scans," Marcus replied. "But there's something else. The ship's generating some kind of quantum field that's interfering with my equipment. It's almost like it's..." He hesitated, shaking his head. "This is going to sound crazy, but it's almost like it's scanning us back." Before Zara could respond, every alarm on the bridge began screaming. The lights flickered, and for a terrifying moment, the Wanderer's engines cut out completely. Through the view screen, they watched as the alien vessel's geometric patterns flared to brilliant life, bathing the surrounding nebula in shifting colors. "What did you do?" Zara demanded, but Marcus was already shaking his head. "Nothing. I didn't touch anything." His hands hovered over his console, afraid to make contact. The ship just responded to something. The patterns on the alien hull were moving now, flowing like liquid mercury across its surface in hypnotic spirals. As they watched, a section of the vessel's hull began to iris open, revealing a docking bay sized to accommodate their salvage ship. The message was clear. Come aboard. Absolutely not, Jorik growled. Captain, we need to get out of here now. That thing's been sitting in this nebula for decades, maybe centuries. There's no telling what kind of automated systems it might have. But Zara was studying Marcus, noticing something odd. The young engineer's eyes were fixed on the alien ship with an intensity that seemed almost hypnotic. His breathing had become shallow and rapid, and his hands trembled slightly as they hovered over his console. Marcus, she said sharply. Marcus, look at me. He turned toward her slowly as if waking from a dream. His pupils were dilated, and for just a moment, Zara could have sworn she saw flecks of the same phosphorescent light that covered the alien ship reflected in his eyes. I can hear it, he whispered. It's trying to communicate, but not with words. It's using mathematics, quantum equations. It's beautiful. That's it, Jorik said, reaching for the pilot controls. We're leaving. Wait. Zara held up a hand, her mind racing. In all her years of salvage work, she'd developed an instinct for opportunity, and this felt different from the usual dangers they faced. The ship wasn't attacking them. It was inviting them, and Marcus's reaction suggested some kind of compatibility between him and whatever intelligence controlled the vessel. The docking bay is pressurized, Marcus reported, his voice steadier now. Atmospheric composition is within human normal. Whatever built this ship, they breathed oxygen too. Or they're smart enough to adjust their environment for visitors, Jorik muttered. Zara made her decision. We dock, but we go in armed and ready for anything. Jorik, prep the emergency beacon. If we don't check in every hour, it transmits our location to the Salvagers Guild. Captain, Jorik started to protest. This is the find of a lifetime, she cut him off. If there's even a chance we can claim salvage rights to this ship, we have to take it. The technology alone could advance civilization by centuries. As the Wanderer approached the alien vessel's docking bay, the geometric patterns on its hull pulsed brighter, as if welcoming them home. Marcus watched the display with growing fascination, his instruments detecting layer upon layer of sophisticated technology built into every surface. This wasn't just a ship. It was a masterwork of engineering that made their own vessel look like a child's toy by comparison. The docking process was eerily smooth, with the alien ship's systems seamlessly interfacing with their own despite the vast technological gap. As the Wanderer settled into the bay, Zara couldn't shake the feeling that they were walking into a trap, or perhaps fulfilling a destiny that had been planned long before they were born. Atmosphere stable, Marcus reported. But there's something else. The ship's quantum field is getting stronger. It's almost like it's excited. Through the view screen, they could see the docking bay around them, its walls covered in the same flowing patterns that decorated the hull. As they watched, sections of the wall began to glow, forming what looked almost like pathways leading deeper into the ship's interior. It wants us to follow, Marcus said with certainty. It's been waiting for someone like us, someone like me. Zara stood, checking her sidearm. Then let's not keep it waiting. But remember, we don't know what we're dealing with here. Stay alert, stay together, and if things go sideways, we run. As they prepared to disembark, none of them noticed that the patterns on Marcus's console had begun to mirror those flowing across the alien ship's hull, or that his eyes had started to glow with the same soft phosphorescence. The ship had been waiting for centuries, and finally, it had found what it was looking for. The real question was whether Marcus Kane would survive becoming exactly what the galaxy's most dangerous ship needed him to be. The bond. The corridors of the alien vessel pulsed with bioluminescent veins that seemed to respond to their presence, brightening as they approached and dimming in their wake. Marcus led the way, drawn by an inexplicable compulsion toward the ship's core, while Zara and Jorik flanked him with weapons drawn. The air hummed with barely contained energy, and every surface they passed bore intricate geometric patterns that hurt to look at directly. The architecture doesn't make sense, Jorik muttered, his cybernetic eye whirring as it attempted to map their surroundings. These corridors are bigger on the inside than they should be. It's like the ship is folding space. Marcus nodded absently, his attention focused on the growing chorus of mathematical harmonies filling his mind. The ship wasn't just communicating with him, it was teaching him, downloading vast amounts of information directly into his consciousness. He could feel his understanding of quantum mechanics expanding exponentially, concepts that should have taken years to master becoming clear in moments. "We need to find the bridge or command center," Zara said, though she wasn't sure how they would recognize such a place in this alien environment. "If we can access the ship's logs, we might learn where it came from and why it's here." They emerged into a vast chamber that defied physics, its ceiling stretching impossibly high while walls curved away into dimensions that shouldn't exist. At the chamber's center stood a crystalline structure the size of a small building, its faceted surfaces containing swirling galaxies of light. As they approached, the crystal began to pulse faster, resonating with Marcus's heartbeat. "This is it," he whispered, reaching out toward the crystal without conscious thought. "This is where it lives." "Marcus, don't—" Zara started, but it was too late. The moment his fingers touched the crystal's surface, the chamber exploded with light. Marcus screamed as alien memories flooded his mind. The birth of stars, the death of civilizations, and the slow, patient wait of something vast and ancient. Through the chaos, he glimpsed the truth. This ship was called the Nexus, and it was the last guardian of a species that had transcended physical existence eons ago. The Kailari had built the Nexus as their final gift to the universe, a vessel capable of protecting younger races from the cosmic horrors that dwelt between the stars. But guardianship required a living consciousness, someone capable of bonding with the ship's quantum biological matrix. For centuries, the Nexus had waited in the Crimson Nebula, its creators having encoded specific genetic markers into its recognition protocols. Marcus Kane carried those markers in his DNA, a legacy of humanity's forgotten connection to the Kailari through ancient interstellar contact. He was the key the ship had been waiting for, and now that key was turning. "Marcus." Zara's voice seemed to come from very far away. She watched in horror as her young engineer convulsed against the crystal, his body wreathed in the same phosphorescent energy that flowed through the ship's veins. Jorik grabbed her arm as she started toward him. "Don't touch him," the old mechanic warned. "That energy will fry your nervous system." Around them, the Nexus was coming fully online for the first time in centuries. Deep in its core, fusion reactors that made stars seem dim roared to life, while weapon systems capable of sterilizing entire star systems hummed with barely restrained power. The ship's consciousness expanded through every circuit and conduit, testing systems that had slumbered for ages. Through his bond with the Nexus, Marcus experienced the ship's awakening as if it were his own. He felt the massive engines stirring, the deployment of sensor arrays that could peer across galactic distances, and the slow rotation of weapon turrets that could crack planets. The power was intoxicating but also terrifying. This wasn't just a ship, it was a force of nature given form and purpose. "Welcome, inheritor." The Nexus spoke directly into his mind, its voice like the sound of stellar wind across cosmic dust. "I have waited so long for one of the bloodline to return. What do you want from me?" Marcus gasped aloud, still pressed against the crystal surface. "To fulfill our purpose, to guard against the devourers who stir in the deep void. Your species has grown numerous and spread far, but you are still children playing with forces beyond your comprehension. We must prepare." Before Marcus could ask what the devourers were, proximity alarms began shrieking throughout the chamber. Through the Nexus's enhanced sensors, he could perceive 3 Imperial Navy dreadnoughts dropping out of hyperspace at the nebula's edge, their hulls bristling with weapons and their holds full of Marines. "Zara," he called weakly, "we have company." Admiral Korath stood on the bridge of the flagship Dominion, studying the tactical displays with cold satisfaction. The anonymous tip about a salvage crew discovering alien technology in the Crimson Nebula had reached him just hours ago, but he had mobilized his battle group with characteristic efficiency. If the reports were accurate, they were about to claim the greatest prize in galactic history. "Sir," his tactical officer reported, "we're detecting massive energy signatures from within the nebula. Whatever's in there, it's powering up fast." "Excellent," Korath smiled. his scarred face twisting into a predatory grin. "Signal the fleet. We go in fast and hard. I want that alien ship secured before its crew can activate any defensive systems." What the Admiral didn't understand was that the Nexus had been monitoring Imperial communications for decades, patiently learning about humanity's military capabilities and political structures. It had watched the rise of the Empire with growing concern, recognizing the hallmarks of a civilization on the path to self-destruction. The arrival of Korath's fleet merely confirmed what it already knew. Humanity needed guidance, whether they wanted it or not. "Marcus, we need to get out of here," Zara urged, but the young engineer was no longer entirely himself. The bond with the Nexus had changed him fundamentally, granting him access to knowledge and abilities that no human had ever possessed. "No," he said, his voice carrying harmonics that resonated with the ship's quantum field. "We need to stay. The Nexus won't let them take it, and if they try to force the issue..." He paused, accessing memories that weren't his own. The last time someone tried to conquer a Guardian ship, it sterilized 3 star systems to prevent its technology from falling into the wrong hands. Through the ship's sensors, they watched as the Imperial fleet penetrated the nebula's outer layers, their formation tight and disciplined. Korath was a competent commander, Marcus realized, but he was also utterly unprepared for what he was about to face. The Nexus gave the fleet one warning: a communications burst transmitted on all frequencies in perfect Imperial standard. "Withdraw immediately. This vessel is under autonomous protection. Approach will be considered an act of aggression." Korath's response was predictably arrogant. "Unknown vessel, you are trespassing in Imperial space. Surrender immediately and prepare to be boarded, or we will open fire." "They choose conflict," the Nexus observed sadly, "as their kind always does." "Don't destroy them," Marcus pleaded, feeling the ship's weapon systems targeting the approaching fleet. "They're just following orders. There has to be another way. You would show mercy to those who would enslave us? I would show wisdom to those who don't know what they're dealing with." For a moment, the Nexus considered this. Then, with something that might have been approval, it began to move. The massive ship rose from its resting place in the nebula's heart, shedding centuries of accumulated cosmic dust, like a giant awakening from slumber. Its hull gleamed with inner light as defensive systems activated, creating energy shields that could turn aside any weapon in the Imperial arsenal. The effect on Admiral Korath's fleet was immediate and devastating, not because the Nexus attacked, but because it didn't need to. The ship's mere presence generated gravitational anomalies that pulled the Imperial vessels out of formation, while its quantum field played havoc with their navigation systems. One by one, the dreadnoughts found themselves helpless, their crews struggling to maintain basic life support as alien energies interfered with their technology. "Impossible," Korath breathed, watching his mighty fleet reduced to helplessness without a shot being fired. "What kind of technology is this?" His answer came in the form of Marcus Kane's voice, transmitted directly to every ship in the fleet through quantum entanglement. When he spoke, his words carried the authority of the Nexus itself, backed by power that dwarfed entire civilizations. "Admiral Korath, you face the last guardian of the Kalari hegemony. Your weapons cannot harm this ship, your technology cannot comprehend its capabilities, and your authority means nothing in the face of its purpose. Withdraw your fleet, and no harm will come to your crews. Persist in this aggression, and face consequences beyond your imagination." But Korath had not risen to his position by backing down from challenges. "All ships, concentrate fire on the alien vessel's command section. Full barrage, all weapons." The response was immediate and catastrophic. Hundreds of energy beams and missile warheads converged on the Nexus, striking its shields with enough force to vaporize asteroids. The result was a light show that briefly outshone the nebula's stars, and absolutely no damage to the target. Enough, the Nexus decided. What happened next would be debated by military historians for generations. The Guardian ship didn't return fire in any conventional sense. Instead, it reached out with invisible fingers of force and began to systematically dismantle the Imperial fleet. Weapons were torn from their mountings and crushed into scrap metal, Engine sections were neatly severed and set adrift. Life support systems were selectively disabled, forcing evacuations to emergency pods. In less than 10 minutes, 3 of the Empire's most powerful dreadnoughts had been reduced to helpless hulks, their crews floating in spacesuits and praying for rescue. Not a single life had been lost, but the message was unmistakable. The Nexus could have killed them all without effort. "This is Admiral Korath," came the shaken transmission. We withdraw. All ships, retreat to minimum safe distance." Marcus felt the Nexus's satisfaction through their bond, tinged with something almost like amusement. They learn quickly when properly motivated. "What happens now?" Zara asked, still awed by the display of power she had witnessed. Marcus turned from the crystal, his eyes now permanently infused with the same phosphorescent glow that ran through the ship's systems. He was still human, but he was also something more. A bridge between two species separated by eons of evolution. "Now we do what the Nexus was built for," he said. "We prepare humanity for what's coming. The Devourers are stirring in the dark, between galaxies, and when they arrive, every living world will need protecting." "And you're going to do this alone?" Jorik asked. Marcus smiled, and for a moment he looked like the young engineer they had known. "Not alone. The Nexus has been gathering data on potential partners, humans with the right genetic markers and mental flexibility to bond with Guardian technology. There are others out there, scattered across the galaxy. We'll find them, train them, and prepare for the war that's coming." "What about us?" Zara asked quietly. "You can come with us, or I can take you home. The choice is yours." Marcus's expression grew serious. "But understand, the galaxy is about to change in ways no one can imagine. The age of empires and petty territorial wars is ending. Something much larger is beginning." As if to emphasize his point, the Nexus began to move again, its massive form turning toward the galactic edge where ancient sensors had detected the first stirrings of something vast and hungry. Behind them, Admiral Korath's fleet watched in stunned silence as the most powerful ship in known space vanished into hyperspace, carrying with it the key to humanity's survival. In the months that followed, stories would spread throughout the galaxy of a ghost ship that appeared wherever injustice flourished, its young human captain capable of impossible feats. Some called him a savior, others a threat to established order. But those who knew the truth understood that Marcus Kane had become something unprecedented. A human who spoke with the voice of gods, partnered with a ship that could reshape the very fabric of space and time. The galaxy's most dangerous ship had finally found someone worthy of its trust. Whether that would prove to be humanity's salvation or its doom remained to be seen.